Welcome back to another episode of the Outdoor Adventures podcast here on Brownfield Ag News. I'm Brent Barnett. Today on the show, we're talking about a new partnership in conservation and feeding the future. Nutrien Ag Solutions and the Gamekeepers of Mossy Oak have united to celebrate conservation and feeding the future. Joining us today, Brian Knifong with Nutrien Ag Solutions and Bobby Cole with the Mossy Oak Gamekeepers. Guys, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us, Brent. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian, let's start with you. Have you tell us more about your background with Nutrien Ag Solutions and some of the work that you do?
Yeah, so I've been with Nutrien Ag Solutions for over 18 years now. I just have a real passion for agriculture. The past 2 years, I've been leading up our marketing team for North America. And we're always trying to find ways to elevate and celebrate the local stories and or the North American farmer. And so happy to be on your show to talk more about that.
Bobby, pleasure to have you with us as well from the Mossy Oak Gamekeepers. Tell us more about your organization's work and some of the duties that you have there with Mossy Oak Gamekeepers.
Yeah, no, I'm thrilled to be here. I've been with Mossy Oak for almost 30 years. I think it's like 29 and some change. But Mossy Oak started off as a camo company to help people get closer to nature, improve hunting. It started off really as and we probably love turkey hunting better than anything else. We want to hide from critters, and it grew into deer and duck and whatnot. It would surprise me if people weren't aware of Mossy Oak. But the company has, because of our love of wildlife and wild places, we've kind of diversified into some different businesses, and Biologic being one of them, Mossy Oak Properties, where we're trying to help people have their own place. And then we've got this division called Mossy Oak Gamekeepers, where we're working to help people understand what they can do on their property, whether they own it or they lease it, whether it's 4 acres or it's 400 or 4,000, things that they can do to improve the habitat, improve the hunting, improve their experience, give them a reason to be out there 12 months out of the year, make it a family affair. And in that process of doing this, we're trying to learn how to do things the absolute best way. And we've kind of always looked over at the ag industry and paid attention to what they were doing. And all of a sudden, we've got this opportunity with these experts at Nutrien, who are the ag experts of the world, that they can kind of look over here into our category and give us advice and help influence how we can communicate and how we can help people have a better growing farming for wildlife, if you will, how they can have a better experience with that. So in my mind, it's the best of both worlds. We're getting their expertise and we're able to pass that along. That's what we envision being able to do, and help make our guys be better wildlife farmers. And that's kind of it in a nutshell from my perspective.
Brian, could you go into the long-term goal here when we look at bridging agriculture with the outdoors?
Yeah, so let me kind of back up a minute and then I'll go forward there. So, Nutrien Ag Solutions has over 2,000 retail sites in North America. We touch 44 states and 4 provinces in Canada. We have over 4,000 certified agronomists that help service any of the agronomic needs that a farmer customer might need. And as a marketing team, we're kind of sitting here to try and how do you support that sales organization as best we can, and how do we connect with and tie closer to that customer base, if you will. And so what we're trying to do with the partnership, if you look at some, and I like to look at data, if you look at data, our customers really have a close connection to kind of 2 areas. There's a strong passion in the farming industry, outside of farming, obviously, to college sports, right? Like everybody has a team and everybody cheers for their own team. But if you're a marketing person trying to build collaboration, it would be crazy to try and pick out a specific college team of which to partner with or rally around to help share our customer stories. The second thing that they're most passionate about is outdoor lifestyle, hunting and fishing. And so what this partnership does for us, it allows us to combine our customers and employees' passion for that outdoor enthusiast, hunting, fishing, conservation. And it allows us to then tell our story in a way that's different than just traditional ag media or traditional ag segments, right? And so it gives us an area to partner with. And by being able to partner with an industry known, an incredible company like Mossy Oak and the Gamekeepers portion of that business from a conservation perspective, it allows us to begin celebrating and elevating our grower story in a way that I think is often overlooked. And so we're looking forward to the partnership to be able to kind of lift all boats, if you will, for the better good of agriculture.
Bobby, Brian there talked about people having that passion for the outdoors. Can I ask you where your passion for the outdoors comes from? You know, for me, I've talked about it here on our podcast in previous episodes. I grew up in a family full of hunters. And so I've been shooting a bow since I was probably 5 or 6 years old. Still dedicated to archery to this day, and deer and turkey hunting and just being in the outdoors. Where's that come from for you?
Yeah, ever since I've been just a small kid, I have been infatuated with deer and just absolutely love them. Just quick story. I was a little kid and I had a bird dog. I was about 10 or 11 years old and trained him myself. And after a couple of years, his name was Jim. I can remember him vividly. My dad would take me and Jim and we would go bird hunting. And he had a buddy that had some land. His name was Colonel Jackson. I remember it vividly, but they would just walk and talk and let me hunt. And I'm like 11, 12, 13, getting a little bit older. And one day that dog pointed and I had a single shot 410 and they're laughing kind of behind me, watch this. And I walk up behind that dog and I remember it to this day, a doe and about a 6-point stood up and loped off. And from that point on, I kind of forgot about Jim and I got really interested in whitetail deer. And I've been obsessed with them ever since.
Wow, that's really cool. So what does this, new collaboration here, Bobby, mean to you to be able to partner with Nutrien Ag Solutions when you see that, they have that focus on sustainable ag practices and conservation efforts and how that ties in with your mission?
Yeah, so it does. So it excites me so much, Brent. When we say that there's stages that guys go through. First, you just want to kill a deer or whatever the target is, and then you want to kill a bunch of them, and you want to kill a big one. Then you want to take others and let them experience it. And there's all these stages that hunters go through, and you can be in all these stages are a lot of fun to go through. But then we're saying there's a final stage you get to where you want to be a gamekeeper, where you want to give back, improve, take care of, share, and in a big part of that, for years we've known that a lot of our audience that listens to our podcast or subscribes to our magazine or watches our television show are farmers. They're big ag guys, and they're really interested in hunting. And we've just learned, as we're trying to learn to do things right, we're trying to grow soybeans in the summer to nourish our deer herd and try to grow a little bit larger antlers and have a healthier doe so she can have a healthier set of fawns. As we're trying to learn all this, these guys at Nutrien have this precision ag technology, all those 4,000 agronomists he's talking about. These guys are studying this stuff and they know the latest and greatest what's coming out. And we're so excited to be able to learn from them, to take tidbits that we could apply to the average everyday, putting in we call them greenfields. I'm looking at your screen behind you, brownfield. I'm not sure where that comes from. That's kind of ironic. But we work hard on greenfields, and it's a big part of what we're doing. And we just think that these guys are going to be able to help out our audience so much.
So, Brian, what's the plan here? Will this agreement be, going into effect here today? It's already in place, and what's some of the action we'll be seeing?
Yes, the agreement has been signed. It's it's an interesting journey, and I think that journey is still being developed a little bit, right? To be honest with you, when we were looking for an outdoor partner, we kind of looked at varying different levels, and we reached out to a lot of people in the organization. And the Mossy Oak, the Gamekeepers, kept coming to the top. One, because what most people don't realize is we already had a relationship. They actually do work with our Macon, Mississippi branch today for some of their agronomic needs around that West Point, Mississippi area. And so, one, they were already a customer for us. When Bobby and I and a few others met in June of last year to talk about this, we actually probably didn't realize all the potential synergies that there were. One thing that I think about is ag is such an innovative industry, and we probably do not get recognized for the amount of innovation that this industry has gone through to produce more crops on less acres with less impact. And so for me, what this partnership begins to do is allows us to celebrate the advancements that have happened, to get credit for some of those advancements, and to partner with, like I said, an industry leading voice to help us carry that message forward. So we've got a lot of things planned. I don't know that I want to go into details with all of that, but I think every meeting that we have, Bobby and I have, it seems like we come up with just another idea to shine a light on that local story, to celebrate the successes that the North American farmer is having. And I agree with Bobby. There are the North American farmer and the North American hunter or North American outdoorsman. I believe they're the same person. And so now we can connect all the dots and make sure that we know what we're doing, because there isn't a grower out there that's trying to grow a crop on his or her farm that's not thinking about the impact that they're having on Mother Nature, right? And the investments that Nutrien Ag Solutions have made, whether that's from an agronomic services perspective, from the investment we've made with new products and product innovations, from the investments that we've made from just agronomic training, we feel well equipped to help that North American farmer deliver the ROI that they're expecting with minimal disruption to the overall ecosystem and environment, which allows then that hunter and outdoorsman to thrive.
You guys have really said it well here. And, I feel like on our show over the last several years, most of the hunters that come on and talk about their hunting stories, they themselves are farmers. So that definitely ties in. And Bobby, did you have something you wanted to add there?
Well, yeah, I wanted to, when Brian said we met back in June, and as we learn a little bit about Nutrien, a worldwide company, Brian was explaining, well, we're doing this, we're doing that. All these different efforts that they had to have a smaller footprint on the earth and to do things with less input and to do things more efficiently with tractors and equipment. And we were talking and said, well, are y'all telling people that y'all are doing this? And, very humbly, they were like, no, we don't. We just do this. We're not trying to get any glory from it. And so we look at it. Part of our role in this is to kind of shine a light on what they're doing, because they're not going to brag about it themselves. There's a lot of really wonderful things that Nutrien is doing for the environment and thinking ahead many, many years. And we're excited to be able to explain and show and tell, but because we can do that. And it's just not that company's personality to stick their thumb in their suspenders and say, hey, we're doing this. So we're excited to be able to showcase that some as well.
Bobby, let me say thank you for that plug. And I also want to say that there's humility on the gamekeeper side as well. And Brent, I would be crazy if I didn't say that if anybody is interested in conservation, to not go to mossyoakgamekeepers.com and sign up and be a gamekeeper, so that your money that you're spending is being used for conservation practices. And then log on to the podcast that Bobby and team lead weekly, talking about all the conservation practices, all the hunting elements. It is a fantastic show. And I would encourage everybody to go sign up and give it a listen.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Thanks for plugging that there, Brian. And as we kind of wrap up here on our segment this week, if either of you have done any hunting this year, do you have any stories to share about how things have gone? For me personally, I talked about it on a previous episode in the archives, but this year I was able to tag my first public land deer. I shot a buck with my bow on November 8th and got him from the ground too. So it's kind of a hunt where I had two firsts, my first public land deer and my first deer with a bow from the ground. So that was pretty cool. Do you guys have any stories from this year?
Well, so I've had one that kind of really fits into the whole gamekeeper mentality. I've got a small place that I'm managing, and I had a deer that showed up, and it was a when you first looked at him, you thought, "Ooh, boy, that's a pretty good deer." But then when I saw him in person, I kept thinking, if he could get one more year, and that's going to be hard, because there's people hunting all around. And I just committed to letting that deer try to have one more year. But I just had a lot of experience with him. Well, he made it through the year. Then in the summer, I started recognizing him in June and July for sure. I knew who he was, and he had gotten significantly bigger, as you would expect. It's what we kind of try to preach to people. And then I just all August and September, I just had pictures of him. I knew what he was doing. And opening October 15th, when the season came in, I was able to kill him that afternoon. And it was just really rewarding. Agriculture, planting food plots played a big role in it. Understanding the things that we kind of preach and talk about and are trying to learn more about all played a role in growing this deer and me being able to harvest the deer. And so it was very satisfying for me.
Brent, I'll tell you this. Let's have this podcast in a year. One of my Christmas gifts to myself this year was a new compound bow, and so I'm out practicing right now. So my hope is that I'll have a story for you next year.
Very nice. I'm really into archery equipment. I usually always ask all the hunters what they shoot. So you got to spill the beans here. I have a Matthews Triax that I think that was their 2018 flagship bow, and I bought it on the used market here earlier this year. But what are you shooting?
So it's last year's model. I got it on sale, but it's a Matthews lift that the gentleman set me up. Kind of felt like I was going to so I'm kind of a golfer. So getting my golf club sized, I felt like that was kind of what was happening with my bow situation. Again, I'm a little green in the area, but it was a wonderful experience. And I feel like I have a really solid bow.
How about you, Bobby? Do you shoot archery?
Yeah, I love it. And I have for a long time. I'm into bear archery. Bear makes a gamekeeper edition, and it's in bottomland. It is bad to the bone. And so everybody around here, we're shooting those. I'm a fan of bear archery, and that gamekeeper bow is what I'm shooting.
I'm a fan there right with you. So I have that Triax, but I also have my backup bow, which I had shot for several years. I had a bear species, and it's still just right over here in my hunting closet. And in the last couple of years, I've really gotten into shooting traditional archery. I had never shot a recurve or a longbow. I was willed my grandpa's old bear Kodiak recurve. I couldn't tell you how long ago he got it or how long it's been around, but I got a new string for it. The limbs are still nice, and I've been shooting targets with it in the backyard off and on. And it's just such a blast to shoot that old recurve.
Yeah. It's fun that you should say that, because there's a lot of people that these going back through these stages I mentioned a minute ago. Usually people start with a rifle. If it's, in their state, you can hunt with a rifle to deer hunt with, and then they progress to bows. And then you see a lot of them like yourself, maybe have success with that compound and move to more traditional archery for that experience. And we always say it's, bow hunting is about trying to get that animal as close to you as you can. And part of the things that we want to learn from Nutrien is how to improve that food plot and make it greener, sweeter, more palatable over here, and be able to funnel deer in an area where you can get that close shot. But I would like to say this, that the bear component, I've always known who Fred Bear was, but the more I learn about Fred Bear and read about him and the quotes that he had, what a wise fella he was. And just, I would encourage anybody that's really interested in archery just to Google Fred Bear and read some of the quotes, because he's a gamekeeper through and through. but back in the day was a pioneer. Really interesting guy.
I could sit here and talk all day about archery, guys, but I feel like I've taken so much of your time here. We did get the plug in for the Mossy Oak Gamekeepers website and podcast. Brian, how about more information from Nutrien Ag Solutions? How do our farmer listeners do that?
Yep. First off, feel free to drop into any one of our 2,000 retail stores in North America. You can find a locator map on our website, nutrienagsolutions.com, and it gives you phone numbers if you just want to give a call. For more information on this partnership, nutrienagsolutions.com/Mossy Oak, and it will take you to a landing page that we've created for this partnership.
Well, I thank you both for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. It sounds like you have a great partnership, and excited to learn more as you move forward in that. I hope we can get an update down the road. So Brian and Bobby, hope you have a good one. Thanks for coming on our program today.
Yeah. And Brent, thank you. And we'd love to help. And you may be doing it already, but planting food plots to create some opportunities for you to harvest a deer with a bow. 'Cause that's a lot of fun, and it puts you in the woods. It gets you started early in the summer trying to get everything ready, and they're very satisfying. So we'd love to help you with that if we can.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, well,
Thank you, Brent.
Yeah, we're real excited that these guys at Nutrien are just unbelievable. We met some from top to bottom. They're just a barrel of monkeys and a lot of fun. And when you can surround yourself with people like that, it's everything it just makes everything go better.
That's fantastic.
Well, you have to check out their websites if you're listening. They're for Nutrien Ag Solutions and Mossy Oak Gamekeepers. Brian Knifong and Bobby Cole joining us today. And you can always catch all of our Outdoor Adventures episodes on our Brownfield Ag News YouTube channel and anywhere you get your podcasts. You can listen to the audio form as well. I'm Brent Barnett here on Brownfield with the Outdoor Adventures podcast. Thanks for watching us this week.